Now you remember the old saying by Mark Twain, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes, sometimes says as putting on its boots, right? Well, now truth has a new pair of boots and it's willing to use them, and it's called social media. And a lot of governments across the world do not like that. Now, one of the governments that doesn't like it is the right-wing government of Turkey. And Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who's the prime minister now, is in a world of trouble because a lot of his calls were leaked online. Now, why did they have to be leaked online? Because the prime minister has been pressuring the media relentlessly, which, funny enough, is on the tapes that were leaked online because they couldn't give it to the media. And in one of the calls, I mean, in a lot of the calls you hear unbelievable corruption, right? But in one of the calls, you hear him talking to one of the leading newspapers in the country, Milliyet, and he tells the person running the paper that he should fire the dishonorable journalist who dared to question his government. Now, wouldn't you do that? And not only does the person running the paper say he would, he breaks down and cries at one point in the call, which is just about the saddest thing I've ever heard, right? Stand up for yourself, man. Now, those things are online. They've caused him a lot of controversy, a lot of trouble. So he doesn't like that. He's used to being able to control the media through all the pressure tactics like the ones revealed in the calls. So he now says that after the March 30th elections, that he might shut down YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. inside of Turkey. Now look, they've shut down YouTube in Turkey before for several years, until 2010, because someone on YouTube, meaning someone in the world, criticized the founder of Turkey. Yeah, welcome to the World Wide Web. So somebody doesn't like the founder of Turkey. So what? How sensitive are you that you can't take any criticism and that you shut down all conversation to avoid a tiny little conversation that you don't like? Well, look, that's goofy in a different way. This is serious business because you're trying to shut down dissent, right? But Erdogan does say something funny anyway. He said, "We will not leave this nation at the mercy of YouTube and Facebook." That is one of the funniest lines I've ever seen. Okay. Oh no, here comes YouTube and Facebook, the marauding armies of YouTube and Facebook. We shall not be at their mercy. You know that YouTube and Facebook are not people, right? They just allow citizens to put things up that you might or might not agree with, and you can't control them. That's why you can't stand them. Well, now we get to a tragic part of this story. Now, of course, there was mass protests about 9 months ago, and for quite some time against Erdogan's government. And that's exactly the kind of dissent that he's trying to keep down. And in one of those protests, a young kid, age of 15, called Berkin Elvan, was hit in the head with a tear gas canister. He went into a coma. He was in that coma for 269 days. He just passed away. He dropped from about 100 pounds to 38 pounds when he was in the coma. His heart had stopped a couple of times during the week, and he passed away. And now a lot of people that were involved in that movement are very aware of his condition, and they had been following it throughout. And the agony of the family is something that is very clear. It's captured in at least this one picture that resonates throughout Turkey. And as you look at the kid and as you look at his family, you can't help but be heartbroken over it. Now, he was among 8 deaths associated with the Gezi protests. And what you're looking at now is new protests since he died. People are, of course, irate, and the cops, nonetheless, firing tear gas canisters, the same kind of tear gas that killed Berkin Elvan, and doing God knows how much damage. Now, there's a hashtag going around Twitter after his death. It says Berkin Elvan ölümsüzdür, which means Berkin Elvan is immortal, and he will live with us through the message that resonates throughout Turkey. Now, at one point, the government and Erdogan had intimated that he was a terrorist. He's 15 years old, and he was going to get bread. Now, the Turkish government is not the only one to do this. The Americans started it. Now, every government does it. Anyone that opposes them are immediately called terrorists, even if they're a 15-year-old kid running to get bread for their family. And since he was getting bread, and bread is a huge part of the Turkish culture, protesters have now started doing something really interesting. It actually started with one guy who just wrote the kid's name down and laid down a piece of bread. Now this was back when he was first hurt. And then next thing you know, someone else joined him, and they were two. And then this happened. And then protests started popping up all over Turkey with bread put on the ground and signs in favor of the 15-year-old. And it's incredibly touching, and you can't help but have your heart break when you look at the kids' pictures. And that's why the pictures you saw before of new protests have started again. And finally there you see a picture of him when he was a young kid trying to fly a kite through the streets. It breaks your heart, man. These are not terrorists. These are citizens. He happened to be getting bread. There are many other citizens who were peacefully demonstrating against their government, which is the core of a democracy. Now, maybe you can corrupt some of the established press in your country, and many governments have done that, and apparently so is this government. But you cannot keep the people down forever.